Today we will review 6th grade math lesson 11.4. This lesson will cover how to find the perimeter and area on the coordinate plane. Here's your I can statement. I can find the perimeter and area of polygons in the coordinate plane, and I can explain my solution methods to others. Let's review the vocabulary for today. I encourage you to write this down in a math spiral notebook. Perimeter means distance around. And area means the number of square units that cover a given surface. So perimeter is the distance around a polygon. You can determine the perimeter of a polygon on the coordinate plane by determining the distance between the endpoints of each of its sides and then adding the distance together. Area is the number of square units that cover a given surface. You can determine the area of a polygon on the coordinate plane by determining the length of the sides and then using the area formula for that type of polygon. Let's begin. If you'd like to review some of these type of problems, they were in homework page 371 in your student workbook. I encourage you to pause this video at any time and complete the problems on your own first and then review the video with me. So here's our first example. What is the perimeter of a quadrilateral ACDE? So we have A, C, D, E. It's a quadrilateral, which is a four-sided shape. Use the coordinates of each endpoint to determine the length of each line segment. So they don't want us to count squares because the directions say this is step 1. Use the coordinates of each endpoint, or your vertices, to determine the length of each line segment. So if I first I'm going across here, I'm going to do A and C. So I know A is the coordinates -2, 1, and C has the coordinates of 2 and 1. And if I notice here, they have the same y-axis. So because they have the same y-axis, it'll be horizontal line segment between them. So I take the absolute value of the x values, the absolute value of 2 and the absolute value of a -2. So the absolute value of a -2 is 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2. So I add them together and I get 4 units. Now remember, we add them together if the points are in different quadrants. This is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that we see here is A and C, and they're in different quadrants. Because here's your number line. Your vertical number line is your Y. Your horizontal number line is your x-axis. So I want you to remember that we add the absolute value of coordinates when the vertices, or your endpoints, are in different quadrants. So these are in different quadrants, so I add that. So I know that that's 4 units across. So I know that this side length is 4 units and this side length is 4 units. Now we need to find the side length D and E, which would be exactly the same because it's a quadrilateral. Okay, now let's do quadrant C and D. So I know that C is going to be 2 and 1, and D will be 2 and 2. So they have x coordinates in common. So I need to take the absolute value of the y. So the absolute value of the y is 1 and 2. 1 plus 2 is 3 units. So I know this side length here is 3 units, and this side length here is 3 units. So then we need to go ahead and add the side lengths to determine the perimeter. So we have 4 plus 3 plus 4 plus 3, and that's 14. So the perimeter of the quadrilateral is 14. Now it's asking us, what is the area? Well, we know that we have the area of EGHD. So now it's going to be different. We're going to look at a different part of this. So let's go ahead and erase that. Okay. So now we have E, G, H, and D. Okay, so they want to find the area, so we need to find the side lengths. So if we look at side G and E, so G is -2, 3, and E, the ordered pair for that vertex is -2 and 2. So what do they have in common? They have the x. So I need to take the absolute value of the y. So the absolute value of 3 is 3, and then the absolute value of 2 is 2. So I need to add them together, and I get 5 units. And then we already had figured out the side length of A and C was 4 units, and because A and C is 4 units, so we know E and D, so we know this is already 4 units because of when we did the perimeter above. And then we know this side length G and E is 5 units. So then we just need to say area is length times width, 5 times 4. So area is 20 square units. Of rectangle E, G, H, and D. Let's do the problem below. And make sure when we're doing area that we do units squared. It says graph a rectangle with vertices. Those are your endpoints. Those are your corners. It's all called the different words here. At the points 2, -2. So we have 2, -2. And then we have 8, -2. And then 8, -9. And 2, -9. Okay, those are the endpoints. And then it says graph a rectangle. So I need to go ahead and draw my line segments. And then it says find the perimeter and the area. So the one thing I want you to notice here, this one is going to be a little bit different because my x-axis and y-axis are here. And if you can see, all these endpoints are in the same quadrant, and these are all in quadrant 4. And because these are all in quadrant 4, we have to subtract. So you might want to write this down as we subtract, before we go get the absolute values of coordinates when vertices are in the same quadrant. Okay, so these are in the same quadrant, so we're going to be subtracting the absolute values. All right, so let's look at the first one. The first point I have is 2 and -2. And then I have 8 and -2. So if we can see here, they have the same y values. So I need to take the absolute value of 2, the x value, and 8. Oops, we do it like this. Sorry, the absolute value of 8 and the absolute value of 2. And I need to subtract these, so I get 6 units. So I know that this is 6 units. And then let's do the next one. The next one is I have the point here, 8 and -2, right here. And then this one below it is 8, -9. These have the same x value. So it's a vertical line segment, and I need to take the absolute value of a -9 and -2. The absolute value of a -9 is 9. Absolute value of -2 is 2. I need to subtract them, and I get 7 units. So I know this side length here is 7 units. Okay, so now I can do the perimeter and the area. Perimeter, it would be 6 plus 7 plus 6 plus 7, and I would get 26 units. And then for area, I get 6 times 7, which is 42 units squared. This is our lesson for Module 11, Lesson 4, Grade 6.